told you that, like, every insecurity you have, every flaw you've ever, criticized about yourself is actually like proof of a divine design? Like, what if the very things that you wish you could change are actually intentional brushstrokes in like a masterpiece that you didn't create because the artist, calls you fearfully and wonderfully made? Welcome to this deep dive, and today we are focusing on like one of the most powerful statements in all of Scripture about who you are. And you know what? I know this one really hits home. I've gotten so many messages from you all about this verse. I'm so glad we're digging into it today.
Absolutely. I mean, it really does resonate, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does, yeah.
And today we're going to dive deep into Psalm 139.14.
Okay.
Fearfully and wonderfully made. And we're not just going to read it. We're going to really unpack it.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the original languages, going to explore the meaning, and we're going to see how this very ancient truth, this goes way back, speaks directly to your modern life. Like, how does this apply to you listening right now? And we're going to see how it can inspire a sense of awe, I think, and just really deep gratitude for the way that you've been created.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay, so like what are we going to cover over the, next little bit here?
Well, we are going to look at the original Hebrew words behind fearfully,
okay,
which is norat, and wonderfully, which is niflady.
Okay.
And we'll talk about, how this truth can really help you with some of the struggles you might be facing, especially when it comes to your own identity and self-worth. I know that's something that a lot of people have been writing in about. And then we're going to give you some really practical ways to actually live out this truth. Like, how do we take this from, head knowledge to actually, like, living it?
Yes. So good. So good.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's start with the heart of this verse.
Okay, so the core of it is, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And this, it sounds like beautiful poetry, but it's so much more than that.
Yes.
This is a declaration of God's intentionality. Like, He meant to create you. You were not an accident. The psalmist here is expressing this, like, deep gratitude for being known by God and created by God. He's deliberately designed by God. And to really understand what's going on here, we need to understand those original Hebrew words. Like, we can't just skim over this.
Absolutely.
We got to go deep.
Absolutely, yes. Okay, let's start with fearfully made. He said that was norat in Hebrew.
Yeah, norat. And this word comes from a root word, yer, which means to revere.
Okay.
So when the psalmist says fearfully made, he's not talking about being frightened.
Right.
It's something so much bigger than that.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah. So norat, it really conveys a sense of awe and reverence. Like, holy wonder. Think about a time that you've been completely just like in awe of something. Like, have you ever stood at the base of a massive mountain? Or have you ever looked up at the night sky, just, packed with stars? And you just feel so small, and you feel the presence of something so much bigger than you.
Yeah.
Like, so grand and intricate, you almost can't breathe. You're just so overwhelmed by the beauty and the wonder of it.
Yeah.
That's a little closer to the meaning of norat. It's this respectful, it's not fear that makes you tremble.
Yeah.
It's fear that makes you just stand in awe.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a profound respect.
Yes, it is. That is such a good way to put it. It's like, I don't know, it's like this respectful astonishment. And I think the implication for us as, as people, as listeners, is that you're not random, like you as a person are a masterpiece that inspires that kind of awe. Yeah. Think about that.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it?
You listening right now, you evoke that.
Yeah, you do.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about fearfully made. So now let's talk about wonderfully made, which is niflady in Hebrew, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so what is that all about?
So niflady, the root word here is pala, which means something that is extraordinary, like beyond our understanding. It's something we can't fully grasp.
Okay.
And this word, pala, it's not just used kind of, willy-nilly all over the place in the Bible.
No.
It's used very specifically, right?
Right. And I was looking at some of the passages, and I think, you pointed some out to me too, and it seems like it's connected with some, like, pretty significant, like, divine acts.
That's exactly right. So it describes miracles.
Okay.
Like in Exodus 15.11.
Yeah.
It asks, who is like you, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in glorious deeds, doing wonders? So that word wonders right there goes right back to that root word pala.
Wow.
And, it's also used to describe God's mysterious works. things that we just don't fully understand.
Yeah.
Like, if we're honest, like, we can't wrap our minds around them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in Psalm 131.1. So when this same word, niflady, is applied to you, it carries the same weight. Like, you are miraculous.
Wow.
You are incomprehensible.
Okay.
That's what the word means.
So to say that I am niflady is to say that like my design is intentional.
Yes.
It's intricate.
Yes.
And it's like beyond my understanding.
It is. And you know what's so fascinating about that is that, we live in a world where we try to fit everything into a box.
Right.
We try to categorize and label.
Yeah.
And, the truth is, you are beyond that.
Yeah.
So trying to fit yourself into some neat little box of who you should be or what you should look like or what you should be doing,
Right.
you're missing the point.
You're missing the whole point.
You're diminishing the wonder
Yeah.
of who you are.
Yes, you are. And you know what? Even earlier in Psalm 139, I think it's like verse 13, there's another part of this verse that really informs this idea. And it's the phrase woven together.
Right.
So what's the Hebrew word there?
So the Hebrew word there is not zarta, which comes from the root zara.
Okay.
And zara means to knit or to weave. Like tejer entrelazar in Spanish.
Okay, so it's a very like detailed image.
Oh yeah, it's very personal, right?
Yeah.
Like, imagine a skilled artisan
Okay, yeah.
meticulously crafting a tapestry,
Uh-huh.
thread by thread, detail by detail, like hilo por hilo, detalle por detalle. It's not rushed.
Right.
It's this patient process. Everything's in its place. Everything's connected.
Yeah, it's intentional. So it's saying that God wasn't in a rush when he created you.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't just like, throwing things together. It was a very purposeful design. Like every part of you was like planned.
Every part of you was considered.
Wow.
It was deliberate.
It's like all the little details were like thought about and carefully considered. I love it.
Yeah.
And so when you put all these like Hebrew words together, like norat, niflady, and not zarta, it paints such a beautiful picture.
Yes, it does.
Like you were made intentionally.
Yes, you were.
You were made wonderfully. You were woven together.
Yeah.
So how does all this, like, why does this ancient truth still resonate so much, like, with our struggles today? Because, like, I know, our listeners, they've sent in so many questions, and it seems like they really connect with this verse, but they're also, like, battling with things in their lives.
Well, one of the biggest battles I think a lot of us face is the pressure to compare ourselves to other people.
Yeah.
You scroll through social media and it's just like everybody's perfect.
Yeah.
And, we start to measure our worth based on like how we look and what we achieve.
It's all external.
It's totally external.
Yeah.
And this verse, like Psalm 139.14, it challenges that.
Oh, yeah.
Like it says, hold on a second. Your value isn't tied to any of that.
Right.
It comes from the fact that you were created by God. And he did it on purpose.
It's inherent. It's like, it's part of who you are because of, whose you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like the things that make you unique,
Right.
the things that you might even see as flaws or think are odd or weird about yourself,
Yeah.
those aren't mistakes.
Right.
They're not defects, un error or un defecto. They're part of his design.
Right.
And, he didn't create us to all be the same.
Yeah.
He created us to be unique individuals.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the world so beautiful.
Yeah. He celebrates that.
He does.
Okay, so that leads us to this idea of a masterpiece mindset. And, I'm hearing what you're saying, and it's like, okay, so it's not about like being perfect in the eyes of the world.
Right? No, I don't.
Yeah.
Because we see this concept in the New Testament too, in Ephesians 2.0. It says that you, our listener, are God's poema,
Okay.
which is a Greek word that means work of art or masterpiece, like obra de arte in Spanish.
Yeah, okay.
And a masterpiece isn't defined by like a lack of flaws, it's defined by its purpose. Like the artist had something in mind when he created it. And, so if you think about it, it's like a painting. Like maybe there's a brushstroke that looks kind of weird if you look at it on its own.
Yeah.
But when you step back and look at the whole painting, you see how it all fits together.
Oh, it makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And that brushstroke
Yeah.
is part of what makes the painting so beautiful.
Right. It all works together.
Exactly. So the flaws, the defectos that we see in ourselves, maybe those are the things that make us unique. Like maybe those are the artist's signature,
Yeah.
I
love that, like showing off God's creativity.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
He's like, look at what I did here.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, so we're talking about how, we're fearfully and wonderfully made, and now if we believe that about ourselves, how does that change how we see others?
Well, if it's true for you, it's true for everybody.
Oh, yeah?
Like everybody you meet, también cada persona que encuentras,
Yeah.
is fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yeah.
So instead of judging people, why don't we start getting curious?
Yeah, that's good.
You know, instead of looking at their differences and saying, oh, that's weird, or I don't like that,
Yeah.
why don't we start asking ourselves, what part of God's design do I see in them? Like, ¿qué parte del diseño de Dios veo en ellos?
Yes, exactly. It changes how you look at the world.
It really does. It changes how you interact with people.
Yeah.
And instead of being envious of other people, we can celebrate them.
Yeah.
Like we can recognize that their unique qualities, they just reflect God's creativity. And, you know, their strengths might be different than our strengths, and that's okay.
Right.
And instead of being jealous, we can say, hey, you know what? That's awesome. That's part of God's design. Like your uniqueness reflects his creativity. Tu singularidad refleja su creatividad.
Yes, it brings connection rather than like division.
Yeah.
That's so good. Okay, so now we've talked about, this verse and like what it means. So now let's get practical. Like how can we actually take this truth and live it out every single day? Like how do we go beyond just, understanding it in our minds to actually living it in our hearts?
Well, one thing you can do is incorporate some daily reflections. Like you can start your day with an affirmation.
Okay.
You can just say something to yourself like, today, I choose to believe I am fearfully and wonderfully made, not because of what I do, but because of who God is.
I love that.
Just like a little reminder first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
To kind of set your mind in the right place before you start getting bombarded by the world.
Yes, it's like a counter, an intentional counter to all the negative self-talk.
Exactly. And, at the end of the day, think about doing a little gratitude practice.
Okay, yeah.
And just, take a moment to thank God for how he's made you.
Okay.
You can just pray, thank you, God, for designing me with purpose. Help me see myself as you do.
Yeah, I love it. It's about shifting the focus from what we're lacking to what we're grateful for.
Exactly. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, let's focus on what's right.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, but you know what? What about like those days when, insecurity just hits you? Like, what do we do when we're struggling with self-doubt? What are like some practical steps?
When those feelings come up, ask yourself this question. What if this weakness, whatever I'm focusing on, is actually part of God's design?
Yeah.
Just take a moment to reframe your perspective.
Yeah.
Like, think about it differently.
Okay. So I think, sometimes it can be hard to make that mental shift. So can you give us like some concrete examples? Like, how would that look in real life?
Okay, so let's say you're really sensitive. Like maybe you cry easily or you get your feelings hurt easily.
Okay. Yeah.
And you see that as a weakness. You think, oh, too sensitive, I need to toughen up.
Right.
But what if God actually designed you to have a lot of empathy? Like, quizás Dios te diseñó para sentir una profunda empatía, So that sensitivity that you see as a weakness could actually be a strength. It allows you to connect with people on a deep level.
Yeah.
And to offer comfort and understanding.
Yes.
And those are things the world desperately needs.
Yeah, that's a great reframe. It's like completely flipping the script on how you see yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's another like struggle that someone might have that we could apply this to?
Well, what if you've always been told you're too much? Like you're too loud or you're too energetic.
Oh, yeah.
And you've spent years trying to like tone it down.
Right. Shrink yourself.
Yeah, trying to shrink to fit in.
Yeah.
But what if God created you to be bold and joyful? Like, quizás Él te diseñó para reflejar su alegría con valentía, you know? Maybe your energy and your passion, that's a gift.
Yes.
It's meant to be a light to the people around you.
Yeah, I love that. So, instead of looking at ourselves through the lens of the world and all its expectations, we can start to see ourselves through the lens of God's love and his intentionality.
Exactly.
I love it. And I know you mentioned a community challenge, like taking this beyond just ourselves.
Yeah, because, this truth isn't just for us.
Yeah.
Like, we need to share it.
Yeah.
So this week, I challenge you to encourage somebody else. Just acknowledge God's creativity in them.
Okay.
Just say something like, hey, I see God's creativity in how you, and then just mention a trait.
Yeah.
Something positive that you see in them.
Yeah.
It's just a simple way to affirm this truth.
Yeah.
In their lives.
Just putting it into action.
Yeah.
And then you also had a prayer suggestion.
Oh yeah. Pray for God to show you somebody who needs to hear this.
Okay.
Just say, God, show me one person today who needs to hear that they're fearfully and wonderfully made.
So good.
And just be aware of opportunities.
To open, yeah.
Yeah, because you never know, you know?
Yeah, you never know how much somebody needs to hear that. Okay, so we're wrapping up here, and I just, like, why is this message so crucial? Like, why do we really need to believe this deep down in our hearts, that we are fearfully and wonderfully made?
Well, because, you know, the world's going to tell you a lot of things about who you should be.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to tell you how you should look and what you should achieve.
Right.
But those things are always changing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But this verse, it's an anchor.
Yes.
Like, your worth isn't based on any of that.
Yeah.
It's based on God.
Yeah.
And he doesn't change.
No.
And he created you on purpose.
Uh-huh.
And he loves you.
And it speaks to this, like, deep longing that I think we all have, to be seen, to be loved, like, to know that our lives have purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and this verse affirms that.
It does.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not just like a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling.
Yeah.
This is truth that can change your life.
Yeah.
Like, it can change how you see yourself, how you see other people.
Yeah.
It can change your relationship with God. Like, it can transform your whole life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is important stuff.
This is big. This has been such a great, like, discussion, such a great conversation.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for walking us through this verse.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah.
You know, I love talking about this stuff.
And for you listening, I really hope this has sparked something in you. Like, I hope you're seeing yourself in a new light,
yes.
with a new sense of awe and gratitude for the way God created you.
Yes.
So remember, in a world that's always telling you to be someone else, to change this, fix that,
You are not an accident.
you are a masterpiece.